is the SNP party conference in Aberdeen, and delegates have backed a new strategy for a second independence referendum in a move away from that of former leader Nicola Sturgeon.
So we're asking this morning, should the party win a majority of Scottish seats in the next election, and they will use the result to begin negotiations with Westminster.
Are you confused?
I'm confused on how it could go about securing Scotland's independence. Question is about Scotland's independence, I believe. What is the question?
Indeed. Right, OK. Well, joining us now to discuss all of this, there you have political commentator and former SNP member Stuart Crawford and our very own Claire Muldoon, who joins us here in the studio. Stuart, there's a bit of a problem here, and that is outside Scotland, and I'm not denigrating this in any way. Outside Scotland, a lot of people think, how many referendums have they had? Who cares? And that is, there's a fatigue. Is that the word I'm looking for, maybe, about this? Stuart.
Good morning, Eamon and Isabel. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. We're fed up with it, really. And there's no prospect of a referendum in the offing anytime soon. So I'm afraid...
Oh dear. Well, luckily we have Claire standing by.
Yeah.
He was just talking about
He's been annexed.
Referendum fatigue.
Well, there is. And don't forget, this Thursday is the 19th of October, and that's when we were told that the SNP would hold what we've now referred to as the pretendy ref. They didn't get the mandate for it. And Nicola Sturgeon turns up at Aberdeen at the party conference to a rapturous applause. She's under a criminal investigation, for heaven's sake. Do the SNP not know anything better? Can they not do better for Scotland? Clearly not. They've not managed to do it for years. NHS off the cliff, education off the cliff, and it just goes to show that independence in their form will not work. Fiscally, it doesn't work in any way, shape or form. Moreover,
you say that, and
don't want it.
Well, you have every right to say that because you're Scottish. But Hamza Yousaf, I mean, he had a chance to go another way, and he's chosen not to go another way. He's chosen to bring this back onto the table. And we'll see, we've got Stuart back, which is a good thing. So I'll go to him. Stuart, why has Hamza Yousaf nailed his colours to this mast again? Is the SNP only a party that exists to bring about independence?
Well, that's meant to be its driving force. But of course, it's really, in many ways, gone from being a campaigning organisation with that in mind to an organisation which is comfortable in government. And lots of people are quite happy with their jobs and hope that that will continue for some time. But independence is the thing that brings out the SNP support, the foot soldiers, if you like. And without that goal in mind, then their already diminishing support is likely to fall away even more. So it's got to be front and centre, as Hamza Yousaf said, of their future policy and campaigning.
Well, I don't think that's correct, because you've lost Hamilton and Rutherglen West. The latest polling says that Labour have got 38% of the vote if it were to go to general election now in Scotland, and the SNP have diminished. So I would say that the appetite for independence just isn't there. There are bigger fish to fry at the moment globally. There are bigger fish to fry and sort out domestically, and even more so locally at a local election. The SNP have turned Scotland into an absolute parody of what it should be. It is an amazing country, and if indeed the Scots want to go for independence, then let them do it, but don't let them do it with the Scottish National Party.
And Stuart, effectively you were agreeing in a way and saying that this is the only thing they can do to drum up support because their record has been so poor. It's an interesting point about Nicola Sturgeon. Obviously she hasn't been found guilty of anything. She is still under investigation, yes, but remains innocent at this point. But she has been such a pin-up poster girl for the SNP. Is the SNP really finished without her?
Well, it's certainly diminished without her, I would say. It was interesting to watch her surprise appearance, which was obviously pre-noted by everybody at the conference, where not only did she upstage Hamza Yousaf, but she basically emasculated him and made him look very much the little boy in her presence. So I think Nicola Sturgeon was a driving force and a sort of figurehead for the independence movement via the SNP, but not in the same way as Alex Salmond was before her. And the truth of the matter is that for all the talk about independence referendums and de facto referendums and the next election, in the final analysis, the Scottish Government, formed by the SNP, has got to go to Westminster to ask for a Section 30 order to have the power to hold a referendum. And Westminster is just going to say no. So the SNP has got nowhere to go.
Yeah. Right. Talking about nowhere to go, Claire Muldoon went somewhere. She left Scotland and she went to live in England. Now, what I want to ask both of you, and I want you first of all, Stuart, is what has, or do you believe that Scottish independence has anything now to do with an expat like Claire Muldoon?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that in many ways the rules of representing your country at sport should apply in many ways. Scottish diaspora is about 5 times the size of the population of Scotland, and I think all of us who have a stake in our background and heritage should have a say. I'd like to point out that I left Scotland for a very long time when I was in the army. I lived in England for a long time, and was very much of the opinion that had anything referendum happened when I was away, that I should have had a say in it. And I still believe that that should be the case.
Okay.
What about English people like my brother who now live in Scotland? Should they be given a vote in this, Claire?
Well, he would be, because he's living there, he's domiciled there, for want of a better word. And that is the case if you do work. But interestingly, I know a young New Zealand chap, and he asked me to sign his papers because he wants to vote in the elections in New Zealand. And I think it's so important that people do have a voice. And Stuart quite rightly said, the diaspora of Scottish people, we tend to emigrate more than we migrate more than we emigrate. And it's just amazing the amount of Scots all over the world. Yeah. And I think we still feel patriotic. I still do identify as Scottish. So I would love to be able to vote in the future of the country.
OK, like the Irish, we're just raised to be emigrated, to go elsewhere and populate the rest of the world. Stuart, thank you very much. Claire. Oh, and incidentally, Stuart, if you're anywhere near the Eastwood Theatre in South Glasgow tonight, tomorrow night, come and see me, please. I'll leave your name on the door, my friend. I'm doing an audience with, and to entertain you with my wit and be a raconteur as well. If you've got any friends, we need to sell tickets, OK?
But listen, ladies, please don't send in your knickers. Don't chuck them at Eamon. He doesn't need any more dental floss.
Sadly, Eamon, I'm heading in your direction at the end of this week, so I'll be down in your part of the world.
And I'm heading to your part of the world. OK, thank you both very much indeed.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stuart and Claire Muldoon. Thank you very much indeed.